Good morning. Happy Friday. Hope everyone had a successful week. Welcome to the How I Built It show here at the Lister Pro studio in Tempe. We're in our old studio. I don't know if you watched my show lately, but we've been using the newer studio for a couple weeks now, and they had some technical difficulties in there, so we're back in the old studio, going back to our roots of where this whole thing started a couple years ago. My name's Andrew Augustiniak. I'm the branch manager of the Prime Lending branch in Gilbert, Arizona. And we have an amazing guest for you today. If you're in the real estate industry, you know who she is. And I'll introduce her in just a second. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Empire West Title, Seth Banda. Thank you for always sponsoring the show every single week. Seth is awesome. And we've been friends for a long time, and his family is awesome, and everybody over at Empire West is also amazing. Then we have Abe Bodden from Insurance Professionals of Arizona. Abe, thank you for sponsoring. If anybody needs any insurance quotes on their cars, home, rental property, boats, dogs, anything you can insure, call Abe. His information should be on the screen right now. And then last but not least, Platinum Home Warranty. Yvonne Hunter from Platinum Home Warranty. If you don't have your home warranty renewed before the summer, make sure to do it. As Heidi has always talked with realtors, getting their home warranties for their clients. And just know, most home warranties expire after a year, and most people don't renew it after a year. And then their AC breaks or their dishwasher breaks. So just make sure to contact Yvonne for your home warranty before the summer. I promise you will not regret it. I'm so excited. And I said this when I walked in today and you said, oh, you probably say that to everybody. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm really excited for the show today. So today we have Heidi Zebro, and she's from OnQ Financial. And a lot of people would think, Andy, why are you bringing the business development manager from OnQ onto your show? And the reality is, I don't really care, because in this industry, we have so many lenders, so many realtors, so many title agents, and anybody who thinks that we're competing like in Gladiator against each other, it's just not my way of business. And we were just talking about this before, people use me for me, people use OnQ for them. And the reality is, like, if you have that mentality of like, oh, that's our competitor or anything like that, then to me, it's just negative. And for me, it's not about that. It's about our friendship and your story, and I think your story can inspire many others in their story and their journey. So that's why I have Heidi on, and I'm super excited. So Heidi Zebro, she's from OnQ Financial. She's the business development manager there. But she's been in the real estate industry for a while now, and you were the general manager of Solutions Real Estate, right? Well, Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
First of all, but you were the general manager of Solutions, which was a broker with what, a couple hundred agents at one point?
About 300, yeah.
For a couple of years. How long were you there?
We're about 2.5 years. I worked there.
And you managed all these agents and saw how they did business. And so the most exciting part about me having Heidi on the show is Heidi has perspective from both sides of the industry. And I actually learned something about you last night from Kim that I didn't know, that you were in journalism.
Yes. I love Kim Harland. Kim Harland's a good girl. I love her.
You've known her for a while.
Long time, yeah.
Wasn't she the lender?
She was the lender when I was at Solutions.
What?
But I had heard about her before. She has a strong reputation. She's a good girl.
Everybody knows Kim.
Yeah.
But what I'm so excited today to hear is perspective from Heidi, because Heidi has worked with real estate agents for years now. And the cool part is, she now works from them from the lending standpoint, not as a lender, but somebody who develops business with them and knows both sides and probably appreciates both sides more than anybody I would ever know. But before we get to the show, and Gabe, and this is how we kind of know each other, is through Gabe. Gabe says, hello, my favorite people in the world.
The stories we could tell about her.
Do you have any? Does anybody? If you know Gabe Bruner,
I love her. I am totally addicted to her.
So you were a big part of.
We were at Solutions together, and I call her Gabrielle. Gabrielle is just so unique and authentic and quirky and fascinating, and I just loved her, and I love that she is so much smarter than she even knows. I just love her. And we met because we were sitting in the same church pew at her wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I knew, but we knew about each other for
we
years.
were Facebook friends.
Do you
which is
remember
typical.
when Gabe was working at Zips and she had to take the dive fully into real estate? Do you remember that time?
Yeah, she was a stress ball.
I know.
Which is so funny. I don't know why she didn't have confidence in herself. She's amazing.
I remember just telling Gabe, "You're gonna be fine. Just dive in."
She's amazing. And look at her now.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's a rock
and
star.
she's gonna have a kid.
Yeah,
Gabe, we love you.
yeah.
We love you more than you will ever know. So thank you for giving us a shout out. But give everybody a backstory into how, before you even got into solutions in the real estate world, like what did you do beforehand, and then work us into how you got into real estate.
Sure. I'll work it kind of like a resume. So
this is an interview.
Right. I first of all, thank you for having me. I've never actually been interviewed, so it's interesting for me. I cut my teeth at the Arizona Republic, and so I sold advertising to realtors. And so I used to attend real estate meetings.
Why'd you get into journalism in the first place?
I fell into it, just absolutely fell into it.
Kind of like real estate?
You know, it's one of those things like, because I was probably in my early 20s, and just one of those things like, if I could only make $30,000. If I could make $30,000. And then I landed a job at the Republic that actually had insurance and paid vacations.
Does the Arizona Republic still exist?
Oh, wow.
I honestly don't even know.
It does, but it's changed. I feel that the newspaper industry did not change fast enough.
Yeah.
Is that it definitely changed from corporate America down to more community-based. But back in my heyday, that's when over 1 million people read the newspaper on Sundays.
Yeah.
And I remember doing advertising for realtors, and they would do a 3-line classified ad for an open house, and they would be mad at me because they only had like 30 people that came through their open house. And they'd be livid that it didn't bring enough results.
Did you say 30?
30. And so it's like times have changed.
So I see. This is me getting in the industry in 2011, 2012. Like people would advertise their open houses in the newspaper.
In the newspaper. It was
No
typically
way.
a 3-line. They were cheap, so we had to get it down to 3 lines. So you abbreviated the heck out of it.
And you were selling those.
And we were selling all day long. Yeah, it was crazy.
So would you go old school, and would you be taking them out to coffee, or would you just call them up and say, hey?
No, it got so much that I was basically just answering my phones. And so Thursdays and Fridays were deadline days for Saturday and Sunday, and you just worked 12-hour days, and you just were typing and hitting on the phones and placing ads, and it was crazy back then. It was crazy. So yeah, so I worked in the real estate industry. I mean, the real estate market through the Arizona Republic, and then newspapers went to hell in a handbasket, and I didn't. It's funny about how you have these mindsets is that I thought that, okay, all I know is advertising. You know, that's all I know. And our skill sets are so applicable with other industries. And so just having strong sales ability was what helped me to land other jobs.
It's similar. I mean, isn't that the truth? People who come, in real estate, you got to be a hustler.
Yep.
And one thing that I did, and Jake in my office, who you know very well, and Gabe and Addie, is we all worked in the restaurant industry, and we were all servers. And I coached CrossFit classes, so I coached these classes of 10 to 30 people, and you learn so much in those industries. You learn so much from. You were indirectly in the real estate industry by selling everybody advertising, so you saw what they did, and it's crazy how we take those traits into the real estate industry, and in vice versa. If you're in the real estate industry, you learn a lot of traits that translate to other businesses.
Well, I think it's all that personal interaction. So it's being able to read people. And it's interesting when you see, like, some folks get into real estate and they don't have any sales or marketing background or management background. And when you ask them, why'd you get into real estate? And they're like, well, I like houses. And it's like, eek. You have to be able to run a business, and you have to be able to recognize sales. And so you would see people who were doing the tasks, but then the results weren't coming. Yeah. And it was because they just weren't recognizing the sales.
Well, you have to be able to manage your time and be on it. Like I'm very, very anal on, like, I can't have unread emails, I can't have unread text messages. But I've sat down with people who said, I come from a 9-to-5 job, and I just don't know how to structure it, and I'm so behind. And I look at their phone, and they have 100 emails, and you're just like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Or how many times have you done it? I've seen it in all industries, but specifically real estate and mortgage, where you go to call the person and their voicemail is full. Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, if that's not a red flag, that's not somebody you don't want to do business with. I mean, I get it that you don't answer your phone. I mean, we're all busy, and I understand that. But you better return it within the next hour.
Yeah.
And so folks who are you see other people, I remember being in an accountability class, and they were saying, well, I have 1,500 emails I have to get through. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me? I mean, you have to stay on top of those things.
You have to. Quick pause. Kim Harlan, who's now tuning in, said she loves you.
I love her.
Look, I mean, this is
She's
so crazy. Office
girl.
Manager Solutions,
Yeah.
prior preferred lender at Solutions, Kim Harlan, back when she slung deals. And then Charlene Pantic said, I think everyone should be a server at least once in their lifetime, which I agree with, Charlene, very much so. My children will be servers. They have no choice.
Yeah.
I wasn't the best. I'll admit, I wasn't the best, but I was the best at when we had promotions. And so at Spaghetti Factory, like my hands and my wrist action, I don't have flexibility like Theo. Okay, Theo or Addie, they have good wrist flexibility to hold those trays.
Okay.
Look at this wrist flexibility. This is just not good for trays. And so, so I wasn't the best server, but I was good at the promotion side. So at Spaghetti Factory, we all worked there. Jake, Addie, Theo, we all worked at Spaghetti Factory. And we had this promotion to donate. You know how every restaurant will have those donations where you buy the thing, the money goes to charity.
It's great.
So we had a hand for $1, $5, $20 donations. And every shift, whoever sold the most of those would get free dinner. And I was like, oh, free dinner. And I'm a Polak. I'm a frugal Polak. And when we had those promotions, I won every single night, and I'd get my free dinner, and everybody, and Jake and Addie and Theo would be selling like the $1 one, and I would get up to that table, and I'd sell so many $20 donations for this charity, and I got my free dinner. That was what I was good at.
Do you think that's a skill set that you can teach people? Because to me, that's a little bit of fearlessness, is to jump out there and do that.
I think we talk about this a lot at the office, and I don't know if you can teach that. Because I wasn't being salesy, and that's the thing in our industry that I believe too many people are just so salesy, and I'm not salesy. I'm not in a suit and tie. I'm me, and the business style that I talk about, and when Jake came on, kind of I taught him was just I didn't teach him that. I just said, listen, you're us as loan officers and real estate agents in the industry are salespeople, technically by trade. But the best are the ones who are non-salesy, and they're the ones who develop a relationship with those people. So I felt like when I was selling those things, waiting tables, I wasn't selling them. I had developed some type of relationship and connection with them. And then when I asked if they wanted to, these people wanted to do it. And I think that's where in our industry, the people who do business with you, you have to motivate them to want to do business with you. And you do that through your personality and the way you talk to them, but not the way you sell them,
I think it's all based out of confidence. When you know your true value, then it exceeds you, and then people are gravitated towards it.
Yeah.
So I feel that if you're a little lost in whatever business you're on, then you just need to stop and figure out what you're good at and why you're good at it. And that can just be as simple as that you're a hard worker or that you're trustworthy. I mean, it doesn't have to be some crazy magic thing, but I think you know who you are. You know that if somebody gives you business, that you're going to close that loan. If it's at all possible, that loan's going to close.
Yeah.
And that's a confidence that I think then makes people lean into you.
Yeah. And I think everybody could find that.
I do too.
I think, and I guess I take back what I said, you can't teach it, but it's not teaching it. It's getting somebody to recognize that they can be themselves. Like, how everybody tries to teach a certain way to get to do business, a certain thing. And that, like, for me, and I've never been on the real estate side, but if me outside looking in, if I were to have a brokerage myself one day, which I would never will, but if I did, I would never say, do this, call expired. It's never this. I would sit down with an agent and say, where do you come from? What's your personality? What do you enjoy doing? What makes you tick? What makes this fun for you? And customize something to their ability. I think the reason why so many real estate agents drop out, what is it, like 8 out of 10 or something, is because they get told the same shoe fits every foot.
Yes.
And that doesn't bring joy to them, and they get frustrated, and they fail.
And I think that everybody has their own particular sales style that they're successful at. And so if you're trying to get somebody, like personally, I've always said, if you want me to hit the phones, that if I'm just going to dial for dollars, I promise you I will be a stripper before I'm going to do that. There's just no stinking way. I will cry, and there's no way I'm going to do it.
Heidi's quote of the day, I will be a stripper before I dial for dollars.
So cold calling just makes my palms sweat. And that's a lot of people tell you have to do that. You have to just hit the phones and call for sale by owners.
Yeah.
But if you want me to hold open houses and market the heck out of it and knock doors to invite people to my open house that coming weekend, I'll do that all day long.
Well, that's what I noticed about you. You do a lot of interaction. You're with people. That's what you love doing. That's like you love going and interacting with people. And you're right. Yeah, are there certain people who would dial for dollars and love it? Sure, they probably had a background in call center. They probably did.
God bless them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are some people who
there are.
Like
I don't get it.
But like that's where I think that just so many people, it's not about being salesy. It's about having them find their confidence to be who they are in the industry that they're in, whatever industry they're doing. Be who you are, do business your way, and you'll probably be successful. So I think that's where with anybody in the industry who's newer, like if you're being told to do certain business a certain way and you have to do mailers and you have to do this, like good luck to you because you're probably going to hate your life in 6 months.
Right.
But you might like doing mailers. If you do, then that's
sure.
awesome. You found your truth. Heidi, Gabe said you'd be a great stripper.
I was just actually going to go back to her. Using Gabrielle as an example, it's like, look at how she was tentative and she, joined a team when she first got into real estate. And I don't believe there's any stopping her now. I think she just naturally, through experience, gained more confidence as she went. And the girl's a rock star. I mean, she's been 40 under 42 years in a row, and her business is doubling year over year. I mean, she's an absolute rock star. And I think that's because she honestly finally identified what she was great at.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you do that, your life is so much better. You're better professionally and personally. So I love when people are able to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so fast forward back to your career.
Okay, so I was at the Republic.
We're going to have 2 shows to do because I like talking to you. Okay, so you're at the Republic. Then what happens?
Okay, goes to hell in a handbasket. And so then, we get laid off, and I didn't realize that a lot of my identity was attached to my job. I didn't know that. I thought I was stronger than that, so that was a little disappointing to find out. And I didn't quite know what to do with my skill set. And then John Foltz and I connected. I actually reached out to John. He had some turbulence in his career, and I reached out to him to say that I don't like when bad things happen to good people. And John Foltz is just one of the greatest guys ever. And we became business partners. And so we then started talking to realtors, and John was doing a 4-part series, and we had a consulting business called Plugged In Network. And we did that for a few years, which we barely paid for ourselves. And then a large corporation was coming after John, and then I went to DPR Realty as a recruiter over there. And so I did that for 2 years, which then got me into solutions.
How was recruiting?
Recruiting, well, that's 100% brokerage. DPR Realty is 100% brokerage.
Yeah.
And so it's...
But that was your first stint in real estate.
Working for a brokerage,
Okay.
Correct. And so, of course, there were some things that I learned from the Arizona Republic of how to run a sales team. So you're able to bring that knowledge to a brokerage of awards, programs, and recognitions, and consistent training and consistent messaging. And so I kind of brought that to the brokerage. But the actual recruiting, 100% brokerages are a completely different sale than your split brokerages because they're fast and furious.
Yeah.
So you hire anybody and everybody. And so I didn't really love it too much because it wasn't good for me. I would meet with people and I would interview them and I would never follow up. If they hired on, they hired on. But it was too high of a volume for me. And so we would average about between 20 and 30 hires every month. And so it was just too big of an animal. And then Dave Dion and I had known each other. Dave was at Solutions Real Estate, and they were looking for somebody to come in and help with them. Brent Conley and Dave Dion and Kathy O'Haran. And Dave Dion is just, again, one of the best people that I know. And so we definitely got along. And Dave lived in California at that time, and so I worked in Arizona, and that was that.
And he brought you over.
And he brought me over. And so that was a ton of fun. That's where I met Gabrielle. And that was really where I had a group of realtors that really became my family and a circle of friends, which probably goes a good 50 deep. We had amazing realtors there.
Yeah, Solutions was very big.
Amazing.
I went to your office a few times because during that time, that's when Gabe was on Dustin Holland Drake's team.
Yeah.
And So like when you were managing solutions, what were the biggest things that you learned with, then you had, a lot of quality agents as opposed to just everybody and everybody. What was it most that you took away, and what was your like daily task? What did you do?
Well, that too was to grow the brokerage, so I wanted to do that through branding and recruiting, and so that was always my ultimate goal. You get a little lazy where you lean into the things that are comfortable, and some of that was hanging out with those realtors.
Yeah.
And I think the magic that we had there was the training that we created together, the realtors and I created together, was all done by the realtors.
Wow. And that's a big difference.
It's a big difference. And so some of them had never taught before or create classes, and so they all elevated from that, which then just made them more confident, so you could see their businesses ticking up as well. And they were just amazing people there, and so to this day we're still kind of close like family.
So you worked there for quite a while, and you had all these relationships, and then Solution, we won't even talk about that, but you got out of that industry, and did you go straight from Solutions into the lending world?
So again, it's one of those things where your dots all align. So probably about 8 to 10 years ago, I was at a affiliate meeting through Zebro, and there was this young gun that was there, and he was in mortgages, and he said something that just totally made me laugh. And so I turned to him and I was like, well, you have to be my friend. And so we Facebook friend, and then we went for coffee, and that was Ben Andrus.
Yep.
And then we had always kind of stayed in touch. And
who I worked with when I
Yes.
first got in the industry.
Ben's great. He's a good man. And so it was absolutely timing that came across. So Ben, I probably hadn't talked to Ben in probably at least 4 or 6 months, and I got a text from him saying, hey, I'm making a move. And I said, oh, crazy. I said, I am too. And then he said, well, are you kidding me? And I was like, no. And so we made it work. And so Ben came on as a branch manager for Gilbert, which he's had tremendous success. And then I came on to help him a little bit with that.
So now we've told your history of journalism to real estate, brokerage managing, to lending, business development, and now you've worked with realtors for so many years, and now for the past couple of years you've worked as in the lending world. What do you take away? Like what are some things that just stick out to you that you may appreciate more now, or have more different perspective? Because working in lending, and we're working in real estate, I know there's such a different perception of how everybody thinks of each other, and there's so many surface level relationships. And one thing that I've kind of worked on this year is trying to erase all of the surface level, cleaning out the closet of relationships that are simply on the exterior and not deep relationships, because that happens so much, and we waste so much time. And I know you see it more than anybody, because I know real estate agents probably talk about certain lenders a certain way, and vice versa. But like, what do you appreciate now, actually seeing both sides of it, besides the fact that people don't realize how hard we work to get loans closed? But
that's true.
But
okay, that's true.
Give us some perspective.
Okay, that's true. Is that from the realtor perspective, that they would get so upset, justifiably so, that they're working with their client, and then like right before closing, it would be a blow up, and so they were livid over that, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But now on the lending side, you can totally see why those things happened. And a lot of the times you guys are handcuffed because you can't actually explain what the problem is, because it's confidentiality. And it's just not polite to say some things that happen.
Right.
And so I see that there's two sides to it. And I feel that we are blessed that we work in this industry, because we are surrounded by amazing people. And for me, that's been life-changing, is that it's so true what they say about, if you want to change your life, change who you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself with people who are authentic and you are naturally connected with, your business grows crazy. You're more successful than you've ever been before. And sadly, I've seen it on both ends, where realtors and lenders, they go into the partnership with the wrong expectations, and for the wrong reasons,
or they're not on the same page.
Correct.
They're not on the same page of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that causes relationships to break up is there's no clear expectations. Like I'll give you my example, and I've never even talked to you about this, but my business model, I've never spent $1 on leads. I've never spent $1 on those types of things. My whole business model is helping add value to my partners by doing the things that I think will turn that one client into 2, into 4, into 8, because I think that most real estate agents look at a client or not, and they don't do it purposely. I think it's more passively that they're very transactional, and it's the little things that count in my opinion, because at the end of the day, we have this triangle, right? We have this transaction and we have lender and realtor. And at the end of the day, my job is just to make that realtor look good. Because if I do, then emotionally, that client is motivated to want to refer. I think that's the key, the missing piece in most unsuccessful people in the real estate industry is they hope and pray and expect or assume they're going to get that referral, but what do they do to motivate that client? Like, you have to be motivated to want to refer people to you. And I think you do a good job of that too, because you're out there developing business and people like you. People want to send business. And so I think that's where, for our business style, I try to be very clear on, like, listen, I'm not here to just, spend $500 on Zillow with you. I'm here to just make our clients want to use us again, and they want their friends to use us again, and they want to work with us because they trust us, they know us, and they know the deal is going to get done. And I know your business model is very similar to that.
Well, I feel that realtors are somewhat at a disadvantage because there are, unfortunately, some training programs when they first get into the business, and literally the first thing they say out of their mouths is meet with your title company and your lender and see what you can get out of them. They literally say that.
Seriously.
And so that sets the tone that we're here to support their business. Well, I am here to support your business. But I've also been asked, like, okay, well, will you pay for leads and then you do the original calling, and then once they turn, then you send the client over to them? And it's like, I'm sorry, your business is to get people to buy homes.
From you.
My business is to support you and close loans.
Yeah.
My business is not to do the front end of your business. And that's fascinating to me that people will give up that control of their business, which tells me that they're not a business owner. And any successful realtor is a business owner.
That's a very interesting perspective. Bringing it back to owning your business and understanding that the people you surround yourself with are there to support you, not to make your business for you, but they're there to support you. And I think that's what's interesting about that is because when I look back and when I see people jumping from lenders or title people from, on a monthly basis, that's probably why. It's because they want someone to do it for them. But at the end of the day, the most successful people are the ones who own it.
Yes.
And they understand it.
Which I think brings us back full circle.
Yeah.
I think those folks are giving their power to brokerages or to other people instead of owning their own power and owning their value. And so they're chasing it, looking for somebody else to fill it, where once you learn that you can do it yourself, it's like the sky's open. It's so much easier for you.
That's so enlightening. And it's loyalty. I think loyalty comes full circle. Respecting the people who you work with, and no matter what, even if you have say you have a bad transaction, say something goes wrong, that I think is the true test. It's like a marriage. You're going to have bumpy roads in a marriage, but understanding that even if you have those bumpy roads, you're still married to each other. You work through it. And I think, and I've had transactions that in most situations weren't our fault in any way or anything like that, but you have that one transaction that goes bad and the person, oh my goodness, I'm never going to work again. When in reality, if I were to flip the role, there's been so many times where I save my realtor partners' butts by a client being frustrated with them, and I'm like, nope, they're fine. We take them off the ledge, or when that client's frustrated with the realtor. But at the end of the day, my worth is making my partners look good. So there's so many times where and they would never know that. There were times where a client was frustrated with that real estate agent, and they never knew because guess who put out the fire before it even ever got there?
I know. I think that happens all the time too. And I also feel badly with that, 1 out of 200 loans that it is our fault that something happens. And this was one of the reasons why I wanted to work with Ben and for Ben, is that Ben had shared a story with me, it was like a decade ago, and he messed something up. And he called the realtor, who was a friend of his, and he went to the realtor's home to tell the story about, hey, this is 100% my fault. This is how I'm going to fix it, but it's inconvenient to your client because of this way, and this is how we're going to get past it. And I thought, that's exact, and that to me makes the relationship that realtor will never leave Ben. You know, Ben was nervous to go have that conversation with him, and in reality, that you just solidified the relationship and the loyalty to it.
Yeah, and you have to. You can't run away the minute one thing goes wrong, because then there is no loyalty. There's no strength. You have to strengthful relationships go a long way. We have some comments from some people that I wanted to read. Kim Harlan, we love you. She said it's about mastering your craft, real estate and mortgage. And then Gabe said, we literally just had this conversation yesterday. This happens. That the hopers, be it brokerages, changing your reps, bring more stress work into themselves than just doing the work they should have done from the beginning.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I know. Life just becomes so much simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have that person you trust, you've worked with forever, and no matter what ups and downs you face together, you'll be okay.
But it's the same thing like friendship to me, is that friendship and in business is, so let's just say that you and I did something and it was my fault and the transaction went sideways and it's my fault. If you're going to dump me for that and you're going to be mad at me for that, well, then apparently we're not friends.
Yeah.
And that's on you, and I can't control that. And so all I can do is apologize, make it right, and then if you don't want to do business with me, that's on you. And I feel badly for the person who walks away, because there's more to life than that.
Amen.
Yeah, right?
Amen. Okay, so I have another question for you.
Okay, go.
I'm not trying to be negative in any way, shape, or form, but I have a question because I want your opinion. Okay. There's a lot of changes, a lot of different business models with brokerages. And we're talking about boutique brokerages, we're talking about big brokerages. And going back to the salesy, I want to know your opinion on the EXP model. Okay? Because what I see, we were talking about salesy, and this triggered me to think about this, is what I see a lot is I think the EXP model is great if you use it in a positive, productive, efficient way. I think it's a great model. But what I see is a lot of realtors joining EXP and turning into multi-level marketers. And you coming from solutions, like, do you see that what would that cause, or what pros and cons are there to that?
Well, at Solutions, Dave and Brent and Kathy were very generous, and they did have a program that you just got 2% off the person's commission off the top. They were extremely generous about that. I feel that, first of all, Glenn Sanford is the owner of EXP, the founder and owner, is a great man. I think he's a genius. I think what he's done is remarkable. I think the growth that they're having is something that it's crazy. And the whole model about being publicly traded, and it's all fascinating and super interesting. I feel that we have to stay true to our craft. And so for realtors to go there, I want you to go there because you think that it's a good brokerage and you believe of where it's going forward. If you're going there to create your downline, now you're getting out of your craft. And now you're just a recruiter. Even though for somebody who was a recruiter, if you went there and were a recruiter, that's smart too. Yeah. So I think you have to pick what you want to do, right? You pick your path. If you want to go there and be a realtor, people are going to naturally gravitate to you, and they're going to organically come into your downline. Yeah. So that wouldn't be my focus. My focus would be real estate. And then for people who are recruiters, it makes sense there too.
That's a very interesting perspective. Thank you for sharing that. Sure. And it makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, if you want to build, I think we can compare that to teams, right? Teams in lending and teams in real estate. And we both have seen many teams in both industries fade away or dissolve because of one reason or another. But I think a lot of what happens is when you have somebody who wants to build a team, it goes back to what their initial reasoning is for that team. Are you trying to make money off people, or do you want to build something of value?
Exactly.
I think that's the same thing, and I've seen so many teams in all these industries grow and fade because of those reasons. And the same thing goes with a client. Are you in it to make money as a real estate agent, or are you in it to service your clients and provide the best service possible? Because in my opinion, you can't just say, I'm in real estate, I'm going to build a team. Well, you could have the best intention to build this team, but at the end of the day, you still have to master your craft, because you can't teach somebody to be on your team and do real estate if you've only closed 5 deals in your life.
Steve Chater from Keller Williams Integrity First, he's a great guy too, and one of my mentors, and I adore him. He and Jesse Herfel were saying the other day about building a team because they wanted to create opportunities for other people. And that was really intriguing to me, because obviously they know their value. They know what we were talking about before. They know what they bring. And now they want to share that greatness to bring opportunities to other people. And I was thinking, okay, I want to get there. I'm not there. I know my value, and I can sell, and I got that. But to actually be big enough that I feel like I could share that and bring opportunities for other people, I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna strive for that, because I love that.
Yeah. That's gonna resonate for me for a while.
Right?
I really.
You do that.
I try.
You do that.
I try.
Mm-hmm.
I try. Thank you.
Yeah, you do that.
Well,
I don't want to digress, but I did want to recognize that you had a crazy month last month.
Thank you.
So first of all, if you look at the big picture of things, you're definitely in the top 10 percentile consistently in lending. And then for last month, you actually narrowed that gap down. Why do you think your last month was so successful?
I'll tell you this. I think you remember you just said something about path, right? Recognizing your path and understanding, do you want to do A, B, or C? And not saying I want to do a little bit of A, a little bit of B, a little bit of C. When we opened the branch, I think what I found is I got away from me in the last quarter, the last 2 quarters of 2018. I was, and that's my personality though, because I had the intention of, I want to help loan officers, bring them into a team where they had the team. I had the team ready to go. That would help them. And so I spent a lot more time recruiting. And I didn't do it for the money. I did it to build the branch and provide
That's
value.
Part of your job.
But what the hard part in my position, and I go through this emotion a lot, is I got away from me. And at the end of the day, a good portion of the branch is me. And so in 2019, my intention is to help people and grow them. But at the end of the day, I love doing what I do. And so being intentional is my motto of 2019. My wife was really big on that. We had many discussions about it, about just being tired and not being so behind on one thing because I'm wasting all this time on another. And so in 2019, I said, I'm not going to waste time with a lot of these relationships that are surface level. I want to work with people who want to work with me. I'm going to spend time with people who want to work with me. I'm going to help them. I'm going to do the things that I love doing. I love doing movie events. You see that all the time. I love doing movie events all the time. And so in 2019, the reason why we're off to such a great start is because I went back to my basics. I went back to what I did in 2013, 14, and 15 to grow, where I grew very fast in those 3 years. I think my first year I closed around like 11 million. And then I went to 14. And then that third year I closed upwards of 30 to 40. And I really think that in our businesses and in any business, we try to do so much and we try to be too creative and recreate the wheel. But the wheel in real estate and lending has already been rolling. And the only thing we can do is make it roll a little bit faster, because at the end of the day, what makes us who we are is what we did 40 years ago in this industry, or not what I did, but what people did. That's what people like. And my business in the first 3 years of my industry or my career was very simple. I didn't do that much. I had just simple things. I connected with people. I did creative things. I did things continuously, even after closing, to try and get more business for me and my real estate partners. And so in the first quarter of this year, I think right now for the first quarter, I've closed roughly like 12.5 million.
It's crazy.
And the simple answer is I went back to the basics. I stopped trying to think of the next greatest thing. I said, I'm just going to do what I did this whole time in the beginning. And I literally pulled out my original spreadsheet. And so I'm doing my original thing, and I'm just going to focus on that. And I'm not going to go try and recruit people. I'd rather have people ask me for help, or if they want to come join us. But I need to produce to fulfill my own passion and destiny, I guess. Is that a good way of putting it? Do you understand?
I do. I like that. I think, we're cut from the same cloth. I did want to mention, too, about when I did transition from solutions over to mortgage, I was really humbled of how many people jumped in to help me. So the folks who were realtors over there definitely were helpful. And then Chuck and Angela Fazio at Revelation Realty immediately contacted me and had us come in as a preferred vendor. And that is what is phenomenal about our industry. So if you think, I was competitors with them. And when you were starting the show, was talking about competition, I love that we all share our best practices. And I love when you're being successful, and I know that you feel the same way about me.
Yeah.
And I don't know another industry that does that.
Yeah.
We're so fortunate.
We are. And like Ben's your branch manager, and I've known Ben since I got in the industry, and we talk all the time. We talk about business. We talk about kids and what, but we share ideas. We share, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing on this? What's that new program that you're doing? Like, we share stuff. But I think and I think that's a positive way to view it. And if you view this industry in positive and you have great intentions with everybody, and you don't I just don't look at everybody as competitors. I try to look at everybody as friends and value. But I think there's a lot of individuals who just look at everybody as like a threat. And I think that's a negative energy.
Could you imagine living like that?
Yeah.
I feel so badly for those people.
Yeah.
I just cannot imagine living like that.
Yeah.
Or people who, when there is an issue and they just are explosive, it's like, wow, how do you drive on the freeway? It's like, this is just life,
Speaking of freeway, did you see that high-speed chase behind our office yesterday?
No.
Oh, my goodness, you missed it?
I missed it.
We literally witnessed a police chase on our right behind our office windows. We watched it yesterday.
I did witness somebody trying to put a golf cart in our elevator.
That may have happened.
I did witness that one time.
We like to have fun in our office, and I would like to point out that I did get that golf cart in the elevator and up the elevator by about a millimeter. And if there's any scratches in the elevator, that's from my golf cart.
Exactly.
We have one comment from Josh, and then look at this. We're at 43 minutes. I could talk to you forever.
I know, right?
We have two comments. Josh Wallace, who's one of my best friends, he said, keep things simple, then prioritize and execute.
Oh, that's so true, too. I forget to prioritize, though. I'm bad at that.
Yeah. But if you keep it simple and you just prioritize those, my goodness. But I think a lot of people do it backwards. They try to execute a million different things, and they go from one thing to another. And then Jana Kraus, who used to be or Brittany's ultrasound technician. Before we heard you left Brittany's place, Jana. Can't do our ultrasounds in the future anymore. But she said, life is a team sport. We are not meant to be solo. This is great stuff, and you too. Or this is great stuff, you too. She says, thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
We're getting to the end of the show. We should probably wrap this up.
We probably should wrap it up.
We'll have Heidi on for another show and talk about other stuff. But, okay, if you were going to leave your lending friends, your real estate friends, with one message for the weekend, what would it be?
Well, first of all, have a great weekend. Be safe. But I want you to know your strength. And if you're not clear on what your strength is, I would just ask your best friend, more so than your wife or your husband.
Oh, okay.
Because my husband, he, God bless him, he's the best man ever, and he just loves all of me. But if I asked a girlfriend, okay, why should somebody do business with me, then that's probably more true.
Okay, I like that. It's very great perspective. Guys, thank you for tuning in today. If you didn't catch this live, it'll be on our Facebook page, so make sure to tune in over the weekend. A lot of great content from Heidi Zebro, our good friends from OnQ. If anybody is going to be in Gilbert tomorrow, I'm having a garage sale extravaganza at my house. I did garage sales growing up. Every year in our community, we had a Lakes garage sale. And I think that's a great thing for my kids. I learned how to sell. I learned how to hustle back in the day. Yeah. And so we just have never gotten rid of stuff, and we've accumulated so many items from my in-laws, from my parents, from when they moved. So, and because our house had room. And so me and Brittany were just like, man, it's spring, and we watched the Tidying Up show on Netflix, and we're just like, man, we have so much junk like in closets. Like we have mirrors and knickknacks from our old house that we never got rid of. We have these custom curtains that we never got curtains. So we're just like, you know what? Let's just get rid of as much as we
Good
can
on you.
and teach the kids. Anderson's going to have a cold water, cold lemonade, and she's baking warm cookies to sell.
Smart.
I'm going to have I'm going to have music going. We're starting at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at my house in Gilbert. If you need the address, come. I'm selling seriously so much junk. And I call it junk, but honestly, there's a lot of good stuff that Brittany's bought.
Sounds like it.
From like junk in the trunk, and we have a lot of good stuff. So anybody wants to come by a garage sale tomorrow, swing by, PM me. I'll give you the address. Quick shout out to our sponsors before we end: Empire West Title, Insurance Professionals of Arizona, and then Platinum Home Warranty. This show is brought to you by the Augustiniak team at Prime Lending. If you have any questions on lending, interest rates did just dip down. We were just talking about this. If anybody's interested in cutting their payment, saving some money, direct message me. I'll hook it up. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you at the garage sale.